What's up, everybody? I'm the Crypto Crow. Enjoy a choke. So I'm going to forewarn you, today is not going to be a demonstration of rocket science, okay? But I've been having a real problem sleeping lately. And I don't know what it is, but I sleep for an hour and I wake up and I can't go back to sleep, and I struggle, and then I try to go back. Like, I took a nap today at like 5 o'clock, dead tired, slept for like 3 hours last night, slept for 20 minutes, woke up again. I don't know what's going on. I just think I have too much on my mind, too much going on, and I'm just, I don't know, like everything's fine, like everything's good, but I'm just struggling to stay asleep. And last night I was like, I was just starting to think, and I was thinking of all of the global currencies all over the place. How would Bitcoin effectively replace the global fiat system? And I started writing all these notes down. They're upstairs, and I had this whole thing in my head. You know, sometimes you have something that just makes complete and utter sense in your head, and then as you're trying to like write it down or explain it later, it doesn't all, it's like you forget things. Or is that just me being old? And I started writing this stuff down, and I was making these points to my wife, and she was like, "Oh, your conspiracy theorist fans are going to love this." And I'm like, this is not a conspiracy theory. I said, this is a legitimate idea that is, I don't even necessarily think just an idea. I think this is actually quite probable. Although I don't think that what I'm going to break down is going to be probable in the very near future. Hello, everybody. See a lot of what's up, Crow in the house, and do MBS. Oh, thumbs up is smashed. That's good. Go with a voice recorder to get it down quick. I've thought about picking one of those up because I get a lot of crazy ideas sometimes, especially when I first wake up out of like a daze. And that sometimes, for whatever reason, it's like my body isn't the most functional, but my mind, I don't know. Like I should probably do shrooms, and I'd probably create one of the most like world-changing inventions. So anyway, before I get into some of this, looking at Bitcoin, the price, I got a market god symbol. Dang it, I keep moving my stiffs. I got a market god indicator to sell on a 4-hour. No, that's a 1-day chart. So when this thing pops off on a 1 day, it's probably a pretty good idea to sell. But I have not sold. I think even if it does crash down, I don't think it's going to crash. That it could. This is a support line for me here, and I don't think it's going to go below that. So am I going to risk $400? Am I going to risk missing the boat on something, even though I don't know? I could sell, but I'm not. I don't think I'm going to play a swing on this. I do see there being a correction coming. I just don't know exactly when, and I'm not. This has been hovering between 5,100 and 5,300 now for a few days, and it's just been kind of frustrating. Yeah, you can play those swings to and from, and depending on how much Bitcoin you're playing with, you can make little bits of profit here and there. But to me, it's kind of like I don't know when the big correction is gonna come, and so I'm just not really. I don't have the I don't have the patience to swing trade properly. I get in, I get out too late, I get in too early. All this stuff, it's just frustrating for me, and I got enough to do. So, but I mean, you know, things do look good. This is obviously the major resistance zone, which I don't think we're gonna see that for a little while. And then we have multiple levels of support and resistance here. And then, of course, you've got the Ichimoku clouds support lines. You know, on a day chart. Let me look at a 4 hour. You know, we've got the EMAs looking to cross downward. But I've seen this multiple times now where I'm seeing a 13 EMA touch the 34 and then bounce off of support. And then it goes back up $100. And it's just up and down. It's been going. So, but anyway, this isn't about the technicals. This is about the idea. And I think to a large degree, people still don't necessarily understand the potential of Bitcoin. And while it is just a digital currency, I don't think people really think about the bigger picture and how truly revolutionary this technology is. And it's going to continue to grow. Now, I want to show my first image here, kind of demonstrate. Thanks for always being real. Well, thank you for watching and being a part of the murder of crows. You can always count on me being very, very real. So, looking at the global markets, all right? Silver is a $17 billion market. Different coins and banknotes, $7.6 trillion market. Gold, $7.7 trillion market. The stock markets, and now this is globally, the stock markets, $73 trillion. Global money, both narrow and broad forms of money, a total of $127 trillion. If you Google it, you're going to find 36 trillion, but that's actually just the narrow money. The broad money, and you add it all together, it's actually 127. The global real estate market, $217 trillion. Derivatives, which the derivatives market, nobody really knows how big that market is. On the low end, it's classified as $544 trillion market. It could be triple that. Now, the global debt is $215 trillion. Okay? This totals $974 trillion. And I'll talk a little bit about some of the alt stuff here in a little bit. Now, here's the thing. In the United States alone, we have the Fed, and we have these private groups that the government is basically borrowing money from every time more money is printed. So not only is the inflationary system that we operate on damaging and ultimately must come to an end at some point, but then there's the interest on top of it all. Now, because every time we print more money, we're ultimately screwing everybody that already holds money, right? And this is something that pretty much just happens at will. Now, this is also something that is basically a global issue, okay? This is a global issue. And I'm thinking, okay, $974 trillion. Bitcoin has 21 million total possible coins out there. And the thing of it is everything today is Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. I believe that there is going to come a day when Bitcoin is no longer traded. The term, I'm going to trade my Bitcoin, is going to become an old school term that was used by those who made billions of dollars at the very beginning of Bitcoin's inception. It is going to become a historical term of prowess, pride, and the people who reference Bitcoin in such a way are going to be known as the billionaires. Because there is going to come a day when all Bitcoin trading is going to be measured in Satoshis. Now, I know that there are traders who trade in Satoshis today. They reference everything as, I got this for 16 sats or whatever. But that's not very common, because it's also just as common for people to swing trade, buy and sell Bitcoins in full, as in terms of, I'm going to sell 3 whole Bitcoin. There will be a day that will no longer happen. There are 100 million Satoshis for every 1 Bitcoin. Out of 21 million possible coins, that is 2.1 quadrillion Satoshis total. Now, as this little note says, this is not accounting for the lost wallet keys, the lost coins, so forth. Let's just say that 1 million or more. I've seen reports that have said as much as 30% of the total excuse me, I've seen reports saying as much as 30% of the total available Bitcoin out there is gone forever, never to be found again. Now, let's just say we end up somewhere around 15 million total Bitcoin in existence out of the original 21 million planned by the time all is said and done. Now, how do we get Satoshis up to $1? And I know this sounds really crazy now, because if that were to happen, that would make Bitcoins worth $100 million each. The thing of it is part of this brain fart that I had hitting me yesterday, I can see Satoshis becoming the new dollar and altcoins becoming your new quarters, dimes, nickels, and pennies. Because what's happening is, let's see, Crow was a long one. Crow, I respect some of views, but when you're going down track of what your bid title states, I think you are not much better than other YouTubers who exaggerate. Take this as you will. Take this as you will. I don't think this is an exaggeration at all, and this isn't meant to be pump or anything. And hopefully by the time I'm done with this, you'll better understand. Toledo, Ohio, very close. So anyway, back to my point. I think I'm going to ignore chat for a little while. So if we were to get Satoshis to $1, even if it were 50 cents, even if a Satoshi were 50 cents, it doesn't really matter. But ultimately the end goal being, if we want blockchain technology to replace the fiat currency market on a global level, several things are going to need to happen first. Okay? And I believe we are very far, we're far off from this. We're far off from this. There is going to come a day when fiat currency is no longer used. I do believe that Bitcoin is always, will forever remain the primary store of value for all cryptocurrency. That I believe. I don't think that's ever going to change. It's the staple from which everything else has spawned. It is the one thing that is not going to go away. Now, you're talking $974 trillion to basically replace all of this with Bitcoin, which could very easily be done. Now, this is a rough idea as to how I see this actually coming into fruition. So when Bitcoin was first created, we basically had casual use speculation. I would even call it speculation on these phases. When somebody pays 10,000 Bitcoin for a pizza, I don't really consider that speculation. It was a fun thing. It was a token. It was something that had no real value, but it was something that people played with. They didn't even really fully understand the technology. At least the majority of these people didn't back then. They didn't see the future, where this was going. So we had some education. Then we had the initial adoption period, which is basically, kind of, I guess you could say, where we were just prior to this last bull market, okay? Just prior to the ICOs and all of that stuff. The ICOs is what I would consider a blockchain expansion phase. a period by which those who took an interest in blockchain technology decided to create their own forks, their own blockchains, their own technologies, and launch those separately from Bitcoin. Okay? Then with that came a phase of more education. YouTubers, influencers, people out and about trying to explain why this use case is important, why this cryptocurrency could work, why this could be potentially valuable given its use case or its plans or its white paper or whatever. But with that came the ICOs, came the education, and then spawned regulation. And while initially a lot of people said, oh no, regulation, it's going to shut the whole industry down. No, I don't think the regulation is shutting the industry down. I think what it is doing is it is kind of thwarting it a bit. It is suppressing its advancement for the time being. And I think that that is a double-edged sword in a sense. It's a good thing and a bad thing. Because what's ultimately going to need to happen is we're going to need the governments of all of these different countries to look at blockchain and cryptocurrency not as a fad, not as a problem, not as something that they can't control. Because if that's the way they see it, then they're going to opt to shutting it down, which is basically what China is in the process of trying to do right now. They're trying to stop all crypto activity going on in China for some reason. And I think it's because they know that it's really not something they can easily control. And that's what they're trying to do. Okay? So it's going to be an experiment to find out how successful China is in managing to basically thwart anybody that wants anything to do with cryptocurrency. But because of the regulation, we're going to start seeing the institutions enter the space. Now, what happens when institutional money comes in? Well, obviously, it's going to drive the value up overall, which is then going to drive in more FOMO, which is going to bring in more people, and we're going to have this phase of initial institution adoption, right? Where the institutions they're going to start peeking their head in, they're going to start coming into the space. We're going to start seeing these rides up in price. The value is going to be driven up, not just in Bitcoin, but in altcoins as well. And then we're going to have a massive bull market. I do believe that when the market does come back strong and we do hit another parabolic bull run, I do believe that it is going to fantastically dwarf the bull market of last. That is what I believe. It's not what I consider this pump, consider this whatever. Just don't consider it financial advice. I'm not telling everybody to run out and buy Bitcoin right now, even though now we're getting a green candle as I'm doing this. But because of that massive bull market, all of these projects, some of which that have laid dormant, new projects, all of this money is going to be going back into the hands of developers. People are going to start FOMOing in massive ways because they're going to realize that everybody that's been trying to preach this 4-year cycle, everybody that's been trying to preach, well, this has already happened multiple times. Crypto isn't dead. Bitcoin isn't dead. Educate yourself. Keep pushing forward. HODL. Don't sell at a loss. That sort of stuff. People are going to remember and they're going to realize, oh, I guess they were right. And then they're going to start really buying in massively. And what that is going to do is that is going to spawn a whole new era of technological expansion in the blockchain space. Now, we're still not close to mass adoption yet, though. We're only going to be rising up with the institutional money and the people that are actively paying attention. We're not going to start seeing mass adoption until the majority of the public is using a DApp or something that was created during this massive bull market and tech expansion without even knowing it. That is when we're going to start seeing a long bear market. Why? Because a lot of the people who are in the know are going to basically start selling off. It's going to be the end of a new cycle, and then the same thing is going to happen that's always happened. But I think this bear market is going to be substantially longer because the pain that is going to be inflicted on the many who buy at the top, don't sell during the downtrend, they don't realize what's happening, the same shit that just happened to everybody in the last bear market, the turn of the market. And I think that is going to be something to where all these tech companies, they're going to be waiting for it. You're going to see, but people are going to have money. The next bull market, I think, is going to be pivotal and truly financing the massive expansion we're going to need to see for mass adoption. And we're going to have that bear market, that elongated bear market, for that technology to be developed and established, along with regulation, along with more institutional money going into the space. We're going to see people trying to force blockchain companies to resort to venture capital money if they want additional funding. We're going to start seeing companies trying to force the venture capitals while not allowing ICOs to take place. But I think that by that point, we're also going to have much more clearly defined guidelines. We have some fairly clear guidelines at this point, but everything is still intentionally left vague. The idea being, look, if you're a bad actor, we're going to screw you. We're going to come after you. If you're a good actor, but you're communicating with us and working with us, we're not going to come after you, provided we can see that you're trying to follow the rules. And that's pretty much what it is. These guidelines are meant to be intentionally vague so that they can nab you if they want to. They'll leave you alone if they don't. That's really all it boils down to. Don't be a crooked bastard and you should be fine. But in this long bear market, we're going to see this further tech expansion. And I do believe it's going to be that, number 10, that tech expansion that is going to bring us to mass adoption. Because that is going to be the point in time where companies are going to have the resources necessary to create the applications, the dApps and apps and everything else, so that people are going to be able to finally utilize cryptocurrencies without needing to know they are. And because of that, we're going to start seeing major changes in how the world operates. That is going to be the point where I believe tokenizing real estate is going to be a legitimate operation. That is going to be where I see the tokenization of gold, silver, derivatives, stocks, so forth and so on will actually be something that the governments will be looking into and consider. I believe that it will be that period, the global governmental adoption, that we start seeing things transition from out of fiat into blockchain, into cryptocurrency, and that is when things really start to go nuts for a while, because at that point, governments aren't going to be worried about regulating us or the companies. They're going to be worried about how can they maintain and gain more control over the space. That's already starting. So we've got quite a ways to go. By that time, they're probably going to have a pretty good grasp on what's going on. But it's going to be the debt that needs to be addressed, because I don't think the Fed or anybody else is going to let any of us, especially in America, just walk away with all that debt after all this time. There's going to need to be a way to address it. I believe that taxes in the future could very well be paid automatically as a transfer fee against all the transactions that the public does. You should not even have to worry about filing for taxes anymore, because your taxes will be paid passively as you live your life. You're generating revenue, you're making money. Now, the thing of it is, while I think that a lot of this stuff is going to happen, it may not even happen in my lifetime. That's the sad truth of it. I mean, I'm 40 years old. Well, am I going to live to 90? Is all this stuff going to happen over the next 10 years? I guess it's possible, but I think true mass adoption for cryptocurrency, it might take 20 more years. I'm sure a lot of us are already going to be filthy rich because of it, or from cryptocurrency by then. Bitcoin could very well be worth, even if Bitcoin were just worth, $500,000, it's still a fraction of where I see it becoming. Because here's what's going to happen, folks. Like I said, Once all this governmental adoption starts to come in, the true replacement of fiat currency, the stock markets are tokenized. Gold, silver, real estate, everything is tokenized. We no longer have platforms for, fiat money anymore, or debit cards through banks. We're not going to have any of that shit anymore. The entire paradigm is going to change. Everything is going to be completely different. We're not going to be using Bitcoin. We're not going to be using Bitcoin to make purchases. We could be using Satoshis, but we're not going to be using it the way we think we are. What's going to happen is everything is going to be tokenized on some level in some way. And we are going to go in and out of these positions utilizing Bitcoin. The volume of Bitcoin transactions is going to become astronomical. And the fact that like the Lightning network and things like that, all that stuff, to me, it's like training wheels on a bicycle compared to where I believe the technology is going to end up by the time we get to number 11 and number 12. I truly still believe that cryptocurrency is absolutely it's still in its infancy. I just had this epiphany where I was thinking about everything and in kind of an exhausted, I can't even speak properly. I'm still so tired. And I'm just thinking, think of all of the transactional volume that's going to come to play when all of this stuff finally does go down. And I do believe it will happen. The global debt could very easily be tokenized. People could buy down the debt you could tokenize debt. Really, you can tokenize anything. You could take a negative asset, tokenize that, represent it as a token, and let people buy them. I'm not an economist, but I'm sure there are probably ways to incentivize people voluntarily paying down the global debt. I'm sure there are ways of basically transitioning a certain amount of Bitcoin to just paying down that debt directly if the governments were mining it, or if the governments were to create facilities to enable people to mine Bitcoin and take a percentage of that and then hold that for the next 5 to 10 years and continue building on that foundation, we could pay I'm willing to bet we could probably pay the debt off by the time all of this stuff hits and we get to a position where we can replace fiat currency with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. I think that there are ways of doing that. I know there has to be. All right. So, but the final point that I want to make in this is, when we get to that point, imagine 954, I think it was, $1 trillion worth of assets constantly trading hands with percentages of those resources, basically paying, transactional fees and the like through various cryptocurrencies and into and out of Bitcoin. Imagine the daily trade volume of Bitcoin at that point in time. And then imagine, if you will, the lack of Bitcoin that will be readily available. You're not going to be trading full Bitcoins anymore. You're going to be trading Satoshis. There's going to be a day when, a few Satoshis is going to be worth as much as a Bitcoin today. Not a few, but you're talking 100 million Satoshis per Bitcoin. All right, let me look at chat real quick because I know a lot's been said. I typically, after I finish a video, I go in and I read through the chat and whatnot. Bitcoin 6K incoming. So and this whole thing isn't really to convince you of anything. It really isn't. It's really just to kind of give you an idea as to my train of thought about a lot of this stuff and where I think this stuff is headed. I think no matter what happens, I think I'm always going to hold on to at least one Bitcoin that I'm never going to touch for until literally, I'm 70 or something. And that one Bitcoin will likely fund my family legacy for lifetimes. I truly believe that. I think that what we are all a part of today, it's like I think about this on a personal level, and I still don't know if it's set in with most of you guys out there. What we're seeing and what we're a part of right now is something we're going to tell our grandchildren about and our great-grandchildren about, that we watched this all happen right before our very eyes. You know, it's like it's like you set down a teenager today and you set them in front of a rotary phone, the phones that our grandparents used to use when we were little. Well, if you're as old as me, you know, I'm 41, so I remember the rotary phones. They were a pain in the ass. They're a huge pain in the ass, but I remember them. You set today's teenagers down in front of one of those things, they look at you like you're retarded. They have no idea what it is or how to use it. And so I believe that there's going to come a point where almost the opposite is going to be true. People are going to look at us, early adopters of cryptocurrency, and be like, oh my God, how did you deal with that? How did you do that? You're going to tell them, go create a wallet. What do you mean create a wallet? Because I believe that we're going to have these services to facilitate anything that we find necessary in cryptocurrency. And it's all going to be so easy, and it's going to be so simple to do in the future, that our grandparents are going to be able to take advantage of blockchain technology, and they're not going to have to deal with all the private key mumbo jumbo, and you know, the security is going to be better, and so forth and so on. But yeah, we got a nice little pump finally. I mean, not really a pump. It's that's the thing. This has been going on for, you know, days now. This up and down, up and down. I mean, it's ranging, but it's just like these wicks, man. It's kind of silly what's going on. It just keeps bouncing now off of the support. Boom, boom. I mean, that's what's happening. It keeps touching it, bouncing off, touching it, bouncing off. So, I mean, that's a good thing. I mean, we're not crashing through it or anything. But yeah, I mean, it's, I don't know. For me at this point, unless I see something significant, I'm not going to bother trying to swing trade it. 1 BCT versus the value of 1 BTC spread out between top 10 projects. Oh man, I don't know. I'm going to do a video. I'm going to do a couple different videos for different types of people. I'm going to do a video where if I had $1,000 today, what would I do with it? I'm probably going to be doing some of that stuff this week. I just wanted to do this video today just to kind of let everybody know kind of where my head is, like what I think overall on Bitcoin. You know, to me, it doesn't matter where you buy in at Bitcoin right now. It just doesn't matter. If you hold it long enough, it's probably, in my opinion, going to make you stupid ass rich. It's just where it's such. I mean, we're barely cracking through the beginning phases of blockchain technology. And the bigger it gets, the more people that get into the space, the more the technology grows, the more of this, the more of that, the more Bitcoin's going to be sought after, the more it's going to be used as a store of value, the less people are going to be selling it or trading it, because people are just going to be using it, well, trading it, but, you know, trading it differently. You know, I think less people are going to be swing trading Bitcoin, because I think there's going to come a point where it's probably just going to be more gradually rising. The volatility is going to slow down. You know, I mean, the more people that hold Bitcoin, the less volatility there is in it. So that's it. I just wanted to share these thoughts and really just, you know, this isn't a like, oh my gosh, we're going to the moon. This isn't a big pump or a dump video. It's not what this is about. This is about just kind of putting something in your mind to really think about moving forward. And going from there. Yes, been following Matrix AI, one of my favorite projects. Hopium, I wouldn't even call it hopium. I think it's just really a matter of time. I really do. I think it's just a matter of time. I feel this in my core. So yesterday's video posted on CT, You the Man. I don't know what CT is. Yesterday's video, CT. I don't know what CT is, brother. Okay. I guess we'll go ahead and call it. I don't even, how long has this been? 35 minutes. Okay, so not too long of a video. All right, I'm gonna call it here, and yeah, I'll be back tomorrow, and I'll probably start doing some other stuff. Oh, crypto Twitter. Okay, cool. All right, guys, crow your coins. Thanks for joining me tonight, and I will see you again tomorrow. And I'm gonna start doing some stuff. I've got some stuff planned for masternodes. Some of the masternodes that I think are going to be profitable, Matrix AI being one of them. You know, investing $1,000, kind of how would I break that up? What would I do with it for the best returns? I've got stuff like that coming, trust me. But I definitely wanted to get these thoughts out just because they were all fairly fresh in my mind. So I'll see you again next time. Thanks for joining me. Grow your coin.